Hello, and welcome to the third week of Tez Tunas Tuesdays. This week, we're going to be talking with Lily White about the history of Tezos community events. We're just waiting for the room to fill up. It just got opened, but I see that Lily is already here. Hello, Lily. Thanks for being on time. Oh, and we have Arena here and David. So I'm going to add some people to speakers, and then we will get started. Let me just do that right now. Um, to speak. All right. So I invited anyone up. You're welcome to ask if you to join if you'd like. In the meantime, up at the top, I pinned the event that the Tez Tunas are currently running. So right now we're running the My One and Only Tezos event. It's all month long of February. Last week, that's ending today, the theme was Love Everlasting. Starting tomorrow, the new theme is Love Thyself. So the idea is if you mint something, you'll leave it up for the whole month of February, but each week there is a new prompt to mint something new. And so tomorrow is the switchover from the week 1 to week 2. So if you are minting for the event, get ready for tomorrow to mint it. I've already minted all my pieces. I'm going to list them as the time comes, just because I'm very busy this month. But if you haven't minted one yet, now is the time to start thinking about doing that. Awesome. And then we have Lily's up here already. Lily, welcome.
Hey, thanks for inviting me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining. So today I do have a little bit of a tighter time schedule than usual. Usually I go for about 2 hours. Today I want to try to keep it to a tight hour. We are recording the space and I will be putting it on YouTube as well. So if we want to kind of get started a little bit with the basics as the room is filling in, because it will be recorded for later, that's okay with you?
Sure, that's great. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. All right. So first, you're Lily White and you run Tez Town, correct?
Yep. I'm the founder of Tez Town, and I run it with a large group of other people.
True. So can you explain for people who might be listening to this on YouTube who are new to Tezos and Tunas what Tez Town is and what the goals are?
Sure, I will attempt to do that. Tez Town is a community on the Tezos blockchain, or it's not. Well, we're just that supports the Tezos blockchain. I should say it that way. Tez Town is for everyone, whether you're an artist creator or you're a collector, whether you're a fan of art or if you're in dev on the tech side of things or a DeFi even. We want to be all inclusive of people, and we're trying to, build something that works together to build Tezos into a better blockchain.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that there's so many groups within Tezos. People just want to come together and build together. And I think Tez Town is either one of the first, or it's at least definitely the first group that I had ever heard of. Would you say that's true, that you guys are probably one of the first with the idea of collaborating different people in the Tezos ecosystem?
I think we're definitely one of the first that reached out to all the different people on the Tezos blockchain. As opposed to like an artist just promoting their own art and having their community to promote their own art, or a DeFi place having their own community to promote their DeFi. I think I don't know of any other ones besides maybe Tezos, just Tezos. The main thing that was really interested in bringing all the people together and working together.
That's awesome. And just in case someone is new and listening, can you explain what you mean by DeFi?
Decentralized finance.
All right. So decentralized finance groups and artist groups together, which is awesome. So then my other question is, when was Tez Town formed ish?
Tez Town itself was officially formed about a year ago. I think actually right around the 1st of March of 2022. However, the concept of Tez Town, the building of Tez Town, was started right at the beginning of Hickek Nunk, when just a few friends started to get together to work together on projects.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just so everyone in the room is on the same page, I see some new people in here. Today we were talking with Lily White about the history of Tez Town and specifically Tezos community events that we all love to participate in. Okay, so the concept started with Hickenock. Very nice. So, kind of moving on to the matter at hand of events. So, what was the first Tezos event that you were involved in?
Okay, so I just pinned to the nest a little, the very beginning history part, and so people can follow around if they'd like to. But the very first event that I was involved in, I was only involved in as a creator. I had come into the Tezos blockchain in a very bad place. I had been in a car accident and was in bed, and my son brought my computer in, and I had stuff on Ethereum, but it wasn't working out. And I posted a very negative tweet, which I've since deleted, something about wishing that I had died in the car accident because I was in so much pain mentally and physically at that time. And this guy from the community named Banjo Funk, who I still don't really know that well, said, "Don't give up. Set up a Tezos wallet." And I said, well, even if I set it up, I've got no money. And he says, "Well, I'll send you some." And he sent me 2 Tez. And with that 2 Tez, everything started to happen. And what happened, I did make a few small sales that first few days after minting on Tezos blockchain, and I was able to go in and I was really biting my pennies to participate in the object for object event. All the artwork pretty much was free, completely free, but you still had to pay those teeny tiny little gas fees. And I just remember like being so like my palms would be sweating trying to decide which one to pick over the other one. But that's when I caught the collector fever. And then I started thinking about, the only thing that Banjo Funk asked of me, I tried to pay him back the 2 Tez, and he said, "No, I would rather you pay it forward." And I've been paying it forward ever since. So that's when the idea came in my head. How can I start bringing people together to do more fun things like this?
Yeah, you have definitely paid it forward way more than 2 Tez worth. You do so much good work, but that's really cool story that you were at, unfortunately had something awful happen to you, but someone in the community reached out and was super supportive and encouraging and gave you the 2 Tez you needed. I feel like that's why the Tez community is so great and why everyone loves it, is because people are so just willing to do that. And it's wonderful that that was your experience and you were able to turn an awful time in your life into a new adventure, basically.
Yeah, and so like I was still trying to figure out how to do it, like how to make it all work. But we noticed that in the object to object event, this object to object event, I don't know if somebody created it or not. It seemed to just spring forth from the blockchain. But the bots also sprang forth right about then. There hadn't been bots, and then all of a sudden, this darn bot called 8LSKS came onto the blockchain and snatched up so many editions of these free artworks. And so the very first one that I created was just getting together a small group of friends and saying, let's go save a few of these artworks from the bots. And so that was sort of commemorated by Oopsie Owl, which I've shared her artwork. She shows like fighting the bots with lasers to save an artwork. I can't remember the name of the artist, but I do believe it says in her link. She shared it yesterday, which reminded me of this event, or I would have forgotten it. But yeah, so just getting together with a few friends and like swarming in, buying up all those additions from the bots, and then, giving them back to the community because nobody wanted to touch them once the bot had them.
That makes sense. And it actually kind of makes sense. I didn't know that object to object was object for object, rather. I'd heard of the event, but I hadn't realized it was a free mint. And that makes sense because a question I get a lot is, why is it in Tez events? Are people, not always, but often encouraged to mint pieces for a low price? And it does make sense that the kind of like Genesis event was literally a free mint for across the board. And we've kind of just been creeping up from there.
Yeah, and I think there's good and bads about these free events. But there's a couple that came up later, other object for objects or similar events that came up later that somehow I don't know if somebody started them or if they just sprang forth from the blockchain kind of thing, but nobody turned them off. So it was really hurting the blockchain overall. because there was so much of this kind of giveaway art, which gave Tezos kind of a bad reputation that we're still a little bit paying for today. And it was only by like people like myself and NFT Biker and John Carroll and a couple others just saying, hey, the event ends tomorrow, stop minting things for free, that we were able to stop people from just giving away their art forever, because it just was like there was no turn off switch. So then that's kind of like when we started getting the idea that we needed to have a very set start date and a very set end date for any events that we created.
I love that. And thank you so much for doing that, because I don't want to give my art away for free. So that makes sense. So now, what was the first event that you guys kind of intentionally created? Was it with NFT Biker? Was it with the Tez Town? Like, what was the first event that you guys started?
Yeah, so the first call for art event we had, it was the Christmas in July event. And this artwork that I've put on the thread there is by EA10, who has been who I recruited into the blockchain just after I got in, like just after I got well, anyway. And we had this in July of 2021. And the Christmas in July is actually about celebrating parties at the beach, but that only message was only received by people in Australia and New Zealand. So the people around the world, it gave me a good lesson about working with an international community and being able to explain things better to people. But it was still fun because most of the people created artwork that was very traditional Christmas design. And we did have several people join in for that. Kim Baskus was the co-host for that. And it was really fun working with him on those first few early projects.
Oh, awesome. So now, was that July of 2021?
Yeah, July of 2021.
Very cool. Very cool. So how did that one go? What did you learn from that event that made you, what lessons were learned from the first event?
I mean, by and large, it was that this is a very international community with a lot of very, different ideas about not just about the Christmas in July theme, but about how things should be run and how things, need to be explained in order for people to understand them. And then we started, that was when after that, we started looking right away for people to do translations of the guidelines for the events, because a lot of people were not able to participate because they weren't able to understand what was even going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You bring up an excellent point. I know a lot of times events are, because like Twitter, you can translate with Google Translate, but I know a lot of events use JPEG flyers made in Photoshop, and I never really thought about that. That makes it very hard for non-English speakers to participate. That's a really excellent point.
And that event and that lesson inspired us for the next event, because the Olympics were coming up real soon. And we said, well, why not? Like, we actually just had another event almost right on top of the Christmas in July event, to be honest, because we like said, oh my God, we should make it international, right? So we right away, we got the event set up for the Olympics. And I think it was like Hen Sports or something was the hashtag for that. Nobody knew to use the hashtag in their mint. They didn't, like that was something we hadn't figured out quite yet. So a lot of people weren't using it yet. It was like a little bit like when we got NFT Biker involved pretty soon after this is when we realized that, oh, hey, putting a hashtag actually in the mint was helpful. The Olympic event, though, did not go over very well. I don't know if it was because we just finished the other event or because, people just weren't that into the Olympics, but we kind of thought it would be this wonderful opportunity for people to, support their national teams wherever they lived. And I don't know, it wasn't a huge event. Some people did participate. The artwork shown in the tweet there is by an 8-year-old that I used to mentor. And it just was his first time ever using Photoshop. It was just like a fun thing. So we did have fun with that, but then we kind of said, "Ooh, let's cool our jets for a minute and see, what let's put some real thought into the next thing we do."
That makes sense. And I understand that, I think back-to-back events is probably what the mistake was, because people do put a lot of heart into events, so it can be a little exhausting. And was it exhausting for you to run back-to-back events?
Well, back then, there was a very small amount of people joining in these events. So, it wasn't that exhausting. I don't think I could, we had an offer from Tezos Commons to provide our prizes for um, October, November, December of 2022. So we did one event a month, and yeah, that just about killed us, the whole team, I think, because it's a lot more now than it was then. A lot more questions. We still have the Discord to run, we still have our spaces to do, and then the holiday season was upon us, and so that was harder. But back then, if there was only 20 or 30 people joining in the event, then it wasn't that much work. But I guess thinking up what the next thing was going to be, and trying to come up with a new partnership that was going to drive them to the next level. And we just happened to, when I came in, I was almost terrified of NFT Biker, because I thought he was like, a superhero or something. He's a superhero. Don't ever get me wrong on that. But I was afraid to approach him, because I thought, oh, I'm just a little lowly person that just got started, and he's probably going to turn me down. And anyways, I finally got the nerve to ask him if he would help with the events, and he did. And he built an event tool into his NFT Biker website. And the next date that really sounded appealing to me was Friday the 13th, which was coming up in, I believe, August of that year, which is gave us like a month to prepare. And so that exploded the event scene on Tezos.
Yeah. Fear for Hen, I feel like, is the first event that I didn't join the NFT scene until last February. I'm coming up my anniversary now, or Tezos till May, but Fear for Hen is the first event that I heard about. People still whispered like, "Oh, there's events. There's an example." Like that was the shining example of like, this is what the community is all about. So, how did you guys get involved with NFT Biker? Did you reach out to him? Did he reach out to you?
No, I reached out to him, and he's become, I consider him a good friend now. But back then, like I said, it was just a scary thing to just like, oh my gosh, I'm nobody, and this guy's like the biggest big. But no, I reached out to him, and he responded right away, and he was interested in, he was building his tools at that time and trying to think of, what might be useful to people. So it kind of was after that, I would say, hey, we could really use a tool for this. And he'd say, no, that's impossible, Lily, quit being crazy. And then about a month later, he'd come back and say, hey, Lily, guess what? I built that tool you asked for. And I'd say, oh, great, because I had another idea. So we went on like that. And I mean, not to say that I thought up all of his tools, but I thought up a few, which was kind of fun thing to do. But and to be able to have that partnership. Now he's still kind of in the behind the scenes on these events. He's got more going on now than he had then, but it's still fun to be able to chat with him and get him involved whenever possible. And I do think we had the Fear for Hen in 2021, and then we had the Fear for Tez in 2022. So it's already had its second annual. The third annual will be this coming October. It'll run from the 13th to the 31st, so covering the Friday the 13th and Halloween this coming October.
Wow, so you guys are planned very far ahead. So do you have all of your events that you want to do for the next year already pretty much mapped out, or do you kind of see what the community is feeling? Because October in NFT land is like, you might be saying 2063. Like that's so far ahead in the way this space moves. So do you have it all laid out already?
Yes, we know what events we're going to be hosting this year. We're going to do one approximately every other month this year. And the next one after the one, right now we're running an event called Blind Date. And some people were matched up blindly with other members of the community. The matching has already happened. There's also a general submission part where you can come in and with your own partner. And the minting starts the 11th and ends the 18th. So that one's going on right now. And then after that, we're working with Non and Plenty. to come up with a fantastic April Fool's event for y'all.
Good to know. I'm excited. I'm doing the blind date event. I got paired with Kevin Isbell, so I'm pretty excited about that. But that's good to know. So you guys are roughly doing every other month in 20, very, very organized. I love it. All right. So getting back to Fear for Hen, what do you think made that event the breakout event?
Well, I gotta say, we got some dark minds in this community, and I love it. And I love it. Yeah, people in this community were the Fear for Hen was all about the darkest, deepest, scariest things in your life, and we had a wide range of projects come out on that one. And I mean, I even had some people like come to me and say, how dare you let your kids, because I had some kids that I was mentoring at the time, participate in this event. And like one little boy's fear was drowning, and he did a project about drowning. And people were disturbed by it. People were disturbed to see what their Tezos friends were thinking, but they loved it, like at the same time. And it was really cool to get that darkness out on the web. I think people I don't even remember how many mints we had for that one, but I know the second annual one we had well over 1,000 mints for. So definitely, this is one of the things that the community, like they want to express that dark side of themselves, and it's really cool what they've come up with.
Yeah, that is cool. And I think you're right. I think there's a lot of, with social media and branding, there is definitely a push to like only display the bright and shiny side. But as artists, there's, both sides of it. And also the people who complained about kids doing dark art, like, have they ever heard of art therapy? Like getting your fears out onto paper is a legitimate form of therapy. Maybe that helped that kid get over his fear of drowning.
Well, in the end, I found out that it was more that his mother had a fear of him drowning. So she would tell him every time they got near water, don't get in the water, don't get in the water. But I kind of played into him. But still, in all, yeah, I think you're right. There's a therapeutic part of expressing that darkness.
No, I absolutely agree. So that's awesome. That's great that you guys did that. All right. So after Fear for Hen, um, is that when the Tez Town started taking over? Because the timeline, no, so there was like a 6 month gap. So there was like about 6 months between Fear for Hen and Tez Town officially launching.
Yeah. So NFT Biker did not like getting a lot of messages over and over from the public asking the same questions. So he wanted to go more to the background. And I started working with some other people. I, just was on the lookout for people that would be interested in helping, with these sort of events. And slowly but surely, we started bringing a team together. Monomel joined us pretty early on to help do translations for the Indonesian community. And we've had about 27 people over the course of these events have helped do translations for various um, event posters and rules and stuff like that. Bar Age of Superman, Mariella Denaro, Nino Crypto, Luli, Monomel, Elam, and just so many more. I don't have a complete list, but it's just been so great because that was also helping us onboard a lot of people from communities that were kind of afraid to get involved, not just into like our little group, but onto Tezos in general. Nino Crypto really did a really good job getting the Japanese community in, and Monomel's, because she's got superstar status on the Tez Town Discord. Only her and Laura Stein have got that superstar because they just go so far above and beyond to make sure that their communities have an opportunity to participate, and just exciting to see that people love these events as much as I do.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely think what drew me personally into Tezos, a big part of it was the events. I think I did um what you did Tez Battle, right? In last summer, the music-based one.
Yes, we did. We did. Yeah, that was Battle of the Bands. Yeah.
Yeah, so that Tez Battle event was kind of my first Tez event that was around when I was getting into Tez, and it was fun. I love the idea of like finding a theme and going to spaces and promoting it and getting some sales and collecting from other people, and that was probably why I stayed in Tezos, honestly. So I think that your idea to have events has onboarded a lot of people and has built a community, and the idea of all these people working so hard to make translations is why Tez has such a global community, and why, which is one thing that people love. Like people now coming into Tez say they love that it's international, they love that it's global, they love the events, but they don't really know where that all came from. So it's really cool to hear the history and background of all that.
Well, and then Tez Town kind of came together because when all these people came together as a group, I started needing help managing the people that were helping me because, you know, you couldn't, it just got to be a lot. So Start Something and I had a weekly space that we did. It's still going on, but Mike does it with me now. The artist showcase that we do on Saturday. And then Terry had come to me when she came into Tezos and asked me, you know, to help her with pricing and stuff. And we got to be really good friends. And they co-founded Tez Town with me. And then we brought on Disco Inferno, who's had to leave because he had a new baby and he manages Ezzo's thing, and he's got his own NFTs on another blockchain that he's doing. So we still are great friends and everything. And he comes in every once in a while to spaces to cheer us up. Then we got in Daedalus of Cree, and of course Mike Nash and Orange, who's our tech guy, you know, sort of started giving responsibilities to different people to oversee different areas. And we said, hey, we need a name, and then Start Something. And Disco Inferno insisted that we have a Discord. So it just all kind of blossomed from there. And we decided that it needed its own Twitter space and everything. So it's, and we've been growing it out ever since. And now we're doing a few in real world, small meetup kind of events, and planning and hoping to do much bigger events in the real world someday. But I think I don't know, I do debate every once in a while whether there's enough other people doing events online now that maybe after this year, we will just turn it over to the community.
Oh, I don't know about that. Your events are pretty cool. So that was my another question is how do you feel about all these other groups like, you know, the Tez Tunas that do groups, and there's other groups popping up, running their own events and kind of taking this idea that you created and running with it? Is that something sounds like you're for it, but how do you feel about that when you first started seeing that happening?
It doesn't really bother me, except, well, it doesn't, it doesn't. You guys are doing fine, so I'm not gonna. But there was a few that came in and wanted people again to give their art away for free. And you know, we're really working hard to try to build value on the Tezos blockchain and shake that stigma of being, you know, the cheap art place. So when they come in and say, hey, let's all give our art away for free, that kind of bothers me a little bit. But you know what? Some people maybe are going to get that love for collecting like I did from that kind of event. Or, you know, there are other, you know, maybe there's reasons, I guess, that they want to have those type of events, and those, I don't want to say that those reasons aren't valid. But
Mm-hmm.
honestly, the ideal thing for me would be if we could all like work together to make them like so we're not all doing it on top of each other, like that kind of thing would be my ideal. But you know, I think maybe this is just, the community is so large now and it's only going to get bigger, that maybe this is just the sort of thing that we need. Like the diversity in events is important. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I definitely think there's one thing that I have is I think the groups need to have like uh like a chat of all the groups together to be like, okay, you take April, I'll take this, you take that. Because as a, you know, artist, sometimes overwhelming where I'm like, oh, I want to do this event and I want to do this event and I want to do this event, but I can't mint 8 pieces this month just because I can't create that all. So that does bring up a good point. But it is cool too because there are so many sides to this community, and people are doing events that, you know, maybe are specific to AI, like the WizardCon does. That, you know, there's a lot of different elements going on here now that didn't exist even a year ago, especially not 2 years ago when you guys got started.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And as the community grows, you're going to see even more of that. You know, like, um, there have been a lot of people come to me and ask me to host specific genre events, and I did do for Esoteros. He wanted to do, and if it hadn't been a fundraiser, I don't know that I would have done it. But he came to me and he says, "I want to do a glitch artist event." So we threw together literally. Thank God for Terry. Esoteros and Terry and I threw together a glitch for Ukraine within 48 hours and had glitch artists mint pieces within 48 hours to raise funds for Ukraine.
Wow, that's
I can't even imagine, like how that project's done that fast.
That it's like I'm saying, like a week in Web3 feels like a decade. It's the joke we all make, but I think it's true. We all move so fast because there's always someone awake and working on something. So, do you have a favorite event that you've run so far that just was your favorite to as either an artist or as just running it?
Wow. I mean, I like different aspects of different events. So I don't know. It's kind of hard. I I loved the April Fool's event last year. I don't know that the artists loved it though, because they all submitted 50 editions, and we burned the editions to the size of the audience that artist had at that moment in time. And I think a lot of them were shocked that we burned some of their art. And then the collectors had to collect it via a burn token. So we made a token. They bought that NFT. They burned that NFT, and then like magic, they got a random token from the event to count. And then at the end, whatever was left over, we sent back to the artist. The artist got the funds from the purchase, but it was, I think, a little bit of a shock. But it was kind of fun to like people came in knowing that we were going to trick them somehow, but they didn't know we were going to do that. Mm-hmm. And then of course I love the fear for Tez and the fear for Hen just as much as anybody else. I made a really kind of decapitation gruesome thing for the first one. And then the other one, I think that more recent, the Call of the Wild, which had to do with endangered animals. I was a wildlife and conservation researcher and photographer for 28 years. So the Call of the Wild was a little bit special to my heart for that reason. And I hope if we do that kind of event again, that we'll be able to figure out a way to put in a fundraising element so that a portion of it can go to a reputable wildlife fund and help that. But it wasn't a big event with the community. Like, not everybody was into that.
That makes sense. It's interesting that I feel like some events are like hit off and some don't, and it's hard to tell why. Maybe it's just the season or what else is going on in the space, but because the Call of the Wild is, such a great concept, and I love that idea, and I would love to see it happen again because I love collecting wildlife photography, and I love minting wildlife photography. Very cool. And so, what do you think motivates you to keep doing these events? Because now it's been almost 2 years you've been doing this, and I know it is a lot of work. And what keeps you going? What keeps you doing this month after month?
Well, I'm probably insane, but but I love this community. I love the people here. There's sometimes these events are very much centered around helping people learn a new skill. Like they call me the mother of Tez for a reason, and it's one of the reasons is because I'll like say, oh, the community needs to learn to use the collab tool, so let's do a blind date event where they all have to be collab projects. Things like that. But I love this community, and I want to see it succeed. But there are days, I mean, it's really hard. I was on a space the other day talking to 2 or 3 people that were in the room. It was just not a recorded space, just saying, I give up. I'm out of here. This can't work out anymore. It's impossible. But because it's, and I get it when the artists are frustrated, because it's been a long bear market. It's been a long bear market, and sometimes think there's no recovering from this. But I think then I take a nap. and say, no, we're early still. The bear market's not going to go on forever. So one of the things I've recently started doing um, is with the Tez Town NFTs and with my personal NFT collection, because I own over 15,000 on my various different accounts, Tezos blockchain NFTs, not counting what Tez Town owns, which is a whole separate thing. The sales of those go strictly to run Tez Town. But it would seem like there was always this race to just make the sale. So, if I price something for 50 Tez, somebody would come in and price that for 49.999. So it was like a 1,000th of a Tez or 100th of a Tez less. And then, it just was. I'm like, I know it's a bear market and everything, but NFT Biker coined the phrase "dirty undercutting," and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to play into that hand anymore. I just don't want to play into that hand anymore. So my goal now is to price things what I feel like are fair market value, depending on a lot of factors. I have a whole system of figuring it out. Fair market value if it was a bull market. If today was a bull market, what can I price? So if you guys have noticed that recently, I've started repricing a lot of my art, and I'm going to continue to do so as I have sales and have the Tez to reprice. But yeah, so now my thought is, and I'm not sure how we could do an event around this, because I have been in my back of my mind thinking, how can we do an event to raise values of an entire blockchain? And I just don't know, maybe something where we go back in time and ask people to reprice something that they minted a long time ago, or reduce the size of something that some people minted 10,000 editions when they first got in, and that thing's still sitting there, and the collectors are never going to be able to turn it over because the person hasn't burned. Something to get people motivated to maybe reduce sizes or increase prices, so that we can do it across the board. So if anybody has ideas, please DM me.
My head was like, oh, we can call the event spring cleaning and center around cleaning up the closet of your early Tezos work. But no, I don't know how the mechanics work, but I love that idea. I've been thinking about doing that by myself. Like, I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary in NFTs next week, and I'm like, I think I should go in and just raise all my Tezos prices, just get everything up to where I think it should be. So I love that idea, and I don't know how the mechanics would work, but I love the idea of encouraging like a community-wide, just like lifting the tides together.
I love that spring cleaning vibe. Yeah, that sounds great.
Well, anyone in this room, you got a head start on the spring cleaning event that Lily's gonna figure out. So I have about 20 minutes left. I do want to just let people know in advance, if you have any questions for Lily or you want to come up for speakers, now would be the time to request. And once we're done chatting, I'll give you guys a chance to ask questions. I do need to have a hard wrap up of 1 hour today. So if you have a question that you're burning to ask, please request now. So as we're doing that, Lily, is there anything else that you maybe prepared that you wanted to let us know about Tez events, or your involvement in them, Tez Town's future plans? Is there anything else that you would plan to kind of talk about today?
Well, I plan, but I do had something that popped into my mind, is that we have lost a lot of our translators. People's lives have got busy and whatever. So if you speak another language fluently and would be willing to work as a translator for my event, or maybe Tez Tunas would like to add some translation to their events, I don't know, or other people's, it's so important that we are able to get this information into the hands of people who don't speak English. It's, of course, I'm sorry to say, volunteer, but would love to have new translators if anybody's interested.
Awesome. Yeah. I took French for 8 years, and I can maybe ask where the bathroom was, so I'm not much help, but I know lots of people in the space are bi, tri, or more lingual, so that's great. It looks like Serendipity has requested. Welcome.
Thank you. I only know how to speak Pig Latin, so I mean, I don't know if anybody needs a translator for Pig Latin. I can help with that, but med en kan ikke pay out okay. But Lily, I just really want to say thank you. To touch on Tezos with the events, like that's really one of the big things that pulled me into it, and it's personally because I really feel like it helps me grow. Because I join events even in things like I wouldn't normally do, and it helps kind of broaden that skill set. You know what I mean? And keeps me from just staying in one genre or one lane. So um, I love it, and if I can help, build even more events, let me know if I can help in any way, because I absolutely love it. I love the community. I brag about it, even the people in the that I walk through day to day. Try and get them into it. So keep doing what you're doing. I thoroughly appreciate it, and I just want to say thank you.
Thanks so much, Serendipity. Wow, I'm so excited to be seeing you involved in the events too.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Lauren, I wanted to say there's somebody named Virginia Laurie. Do you know Virginia Laurie?
I've heard the name, but I haven't been introduced formally.
I've never talked to her on a space. As far as I know, she kind of stays behind the scenes a lot. But she's the one that has been minted the most in all of the events since the very beginning.
Oh, and so she's been in part of all of your events?
She's only missed once. The blind date last year. I don't know if she's going to participate this year. Being a collab project, maybe is a hurdle. I don't really know her situation, but she's been super sweet. In DMs and stuff. Like I said, I've not talked to her in space, but yeah, that's the only one she's ever missed since the very beginning of the Tez events. I looked it up, and she even participated in the Object for Object. So, as far as I can tell, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of other people that have been in, but everybody else has. So I was kind of a special thing.
Yeah, that is really cool. She's been as involved as you have this whole thing on the artist side. That's awesome. Now, have you, Lily, yourself minted a piece for every event?
No, no, I've missed some as an artist. There was a couple times that during events, it's not so much anymore, and I think Discord, and there is a team, so other people are answering questions. But just before Tez Town really came to fruition, okay, I love Esoteros. He's a great guy and everything, but he was absolutely no help answering questions for the events. And he didn't host the spaces. And like his name was probably a good branding tool, but like he wasn't involved too much. And in those days, I used to get, 300 messages in a day, trying to ask questions and stuff. And then, like when adding more translators helped, and then having the Discord helped, and just having a bigger team helped. So I don't get that many anymore, but still during the events, I might get, maybe 30 in a day or more, from artists asking questions or needing the copy and paste so they can do their own translation if they don't speak one of the languages we've translated into. Or they just needing me to show them how to do a collab contract, or how to mint it all if they're brand new. So so a lot of times I just didn't have time to get any projects done.
No, I hear that. I'm like, my whole goal of my blog that I'm writing is writing tutorials for Tezos and Tezos events and stuff, because like you, I get so many DMs where people are just like, hey, like, what's Tezos? And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to write this post and I'm going to email you a link because I want to help you, but I can't help everybody individually. So I definitely hear that. And I'm also guilty of asking for help. I remember that Ted's Battle event, I was getting in the car to go down to New York City, and I was going to be in the car at the time you were supposed to mint. And I remember being so confused with like, wait, should I mint it and not list it? Should I list it? Is it allowed? Is this okay? And I remember reaching out to you, and you got back to me like within 20 minutes, which I really appreciated. You're like, no, just do it now before you get in the car. No worries, no worries. So you definitely, I can vouch the fact that you work hard to respond to people and answer everyone's questions. And I'm sure not just me, but a lot of people really appreciate that, and why they feel motivated to join these events.
I had forgot about that. But yeah, thank you, and you're welcome. Yeah, I'm one of those people that can't stand to see like there's a message waiting. God love Mike Nash. I love him to death. But one time he asked me to answer a message for him, and I saw that he had over 2,000 unanswered messages. And I'm like, why are you bothering with this one? That would drive me insane. But like some people can handle that. I don't know why I'm kind of like, oh my gosh, I got it. There's a blue dot. I gotta get to it.
Yeah, I would say I'm the worst of both worlds. So my DMs look like garbage, like his, but I also feel the intense guilt. So every time I glance at my phone, I'm just like, oh God, the guilt is gonna kill me. So I wish I was more like you. I wish I was able to just get it done. So it's definitely appreciated. Okay, so I do want to remind anyone, if anyone else has any questions for Lily, wants to hop up or say anything, you are more than welcome. I've gotten through all of my questions. If anyone wants to add anything, we've been talking to Lily White about Tez Town, the history of Tezos community events, what got them started, why they keep going. This space is recorded, so you've missed the beginning. You are welcome to jump in and listen back when we close the space, because it's very interesting. And Lily does have a tweet up there about the original Tez Town events, even before there was a Tez Town. So definitely explore that. Yeah. And so, would you like to? I have a requested up. While I'm pulling someone up, would you like to tell us a bit more about the blind date event that you guys have going on right now?
Yeah, sure. Is it okay if I pin it up here to the nest?
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right, let me grab the. Well, I don't know if I can. Let me see if I can find it. That's a key, I guess. So the blind date event is a collaboration event. We last year we only did the portion where you were paired up with a complete stranger and had to work together regardless of whatever language they spoke or what time zone each of you were on or what style of art you did. And it still went over pretty good. It wasn't a big event, but it made a lot of changes. People started using the collab contracts a lot more. We noticed a good spike in music being added to artworks and people collabing in that way. This year, I really had hoped to integrate a lot more tech side in these collabs. It didn't really work out, at least not yet, unless people are doing it behind the scenes, because the minting hasn't started yet. So I'm not sure if people have paired up for the general submission with tech people, but I'm kind of hoping they have. Yeah, but it's a fun event that we put together last year for thinking about Valentine's Day and partnering up made us think people should be collabing. And then also we had like we talk to collectors all the time. I'm in several collectors groups, plus I have private DMs with several collectors. And at that time, collectors were saying, why aren't there any collabs? Why aren't there any collabs? And so that's one of the reasons that motivated it. And you'll find that we'll have a lot of times. This is sometimes where these events come from, is the questions I get from artists, or the comments I get from collectors. What they're looking for, what they feel is missing. So if you have any suggestions, my DMs are open. But it's too late to get in the blind date part, which is the contest part. But you can still get in the general submissions by picking your own partner. That was an option we didn't have last year. So I'm hoping that a lot of people are working behind the scenes with their own their partner of choice. And basically, we're going to be minting on the 11th through the 18th. It's a 1 week window to mint, but you can start working on it. Hopefully people are working on it. If you're doing the general submission, you can do 5 to 15 editions. Please send one to Tez Town. That's what helps keep us running, is selling some of the art from time to time, because we do have real world expenses as well. or let's see, use the hashtag when you mint blind Tez, and I don't know if anybody has any other questions. I'll be willing to answer.
Yeah, I'm excited. I entered the contest part and I got paired up. I think you announced them 2 or 3 days ago, earlier this week. So I'm excited to get to work on that and see. Now, so when you do the contest, how does that look? Like, do you have a panel of judges? Is it just you judging? I know I helped. You did a judging around New Year's Eve that I helped judge for. Like, who do you reach out to for that?
Yeah, so a lot of these events, we do some sort of collaboration with Whale Tank, G3 Connect, sometimes DNS, NFT Biker. Just we really want to incorporate as much of the community as possible. So even our intent is to work with anybody on the blockchain, basically, that's willing to work with us. So yeah, I don't any longer vote on these things unless there's an extreme tiebreaker, which hasn't happened since but we do have members of Tez Town. We invite some people from Whale Tank. Monomo will be voting because she was the winner last time. So if you win, you're invited to vote on the next one. Idealistically, we would like to have the whole community be able to vote, but there's just not the technology for it that we can afford. So by pulling people from all these different situations, we can add. So Whale Tank, we do an interview with. We just started this about 3 months ago. We do an interview with the winner, and then Whale Tank is going to be putting those on all of their social medias and promoting them. Anubis, who runs Whale Tank, is finishing up his last few weeks of military service, and he has pretty much been they've been working him. So when he gets done with that in a little bit, I think you'll start seeing. I think he just put out an episode of Whale Tank, so I'm sure he's working on it as he can, and they'll get put out. But I think the promotional value is a huge part of getting that winning ticket there. But the last 3 months we did have Tezos Commons come forward and offer some prizes. That was really good. It was really nice. I mean, Tezo prizes, which is really nice to be able to see the winners get a little bit of Tezos in their pocket as well. We don't have anybody stepping forward this time. We're still working on that. Hopefully there'll be some Tezos at the end, but yeah, I don't know. I probably answered way more than you asked.
No, it's cool. It's interesting to know about the mechanics, and I love that you're reaching out to other groups, trying to involve as many people as possible, trying to get the artists who are participating as much exposure as possible. That's really awesome. It looks like Katie is up here. Hello, Katie. Welcome.
Hello, Lauren. Hello, Lily. Hello, everyone. Yeah, it's actually lovely being here. The space is actually educating me a lot. Actually, all these are very new to me because I don't really come on spaces before, but it's actually great hearing about events like this. I actually love the last one you spoke about. Is it like you already have the list of people that would love to collab, or you can actually just I can actually just look for someone I want to collab with?
Yeah, the blind date part of it's closed, but yes, you can look for somebody that you want to collab with and put together a project to mint for the event.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. And the oh, I'm having trouble today, guys. The tweet I pinned to the nest there about the event. Woo! If you look in the comment section, you'll find a lot of information. The guidelines for the event, links to Tez Town Discord and other places that we are on the web. And then you'll also see a list if anybody's curious. There's a list of all the people that were paired up, and who their date is. And then also there's a schedule when we'll be doing all of our spaces and stuff. So if you want to join in any of that, y'all are welcome, and we'd love to have you.
Awesome. That's awesome. And thank you so much for coming up and asking. Because I would definitely recommend getting involved in events and Tez Town events. And it really helps grow your community. It helps introduce you to people. I know usually a lot of the art that I collect during events because there's just so many new people jumping in and trying to get, involved. So it's a great time to make connections. I would say my personal piece of advice to anyone who might be listening to this who's new is when you do see an event and you're like participating in it, search the event hashtag on Twitter and then just start commenting and following people because those are people that are active on Tezos right now. And finding the people who are also using the hashtag is a great way to make a lot of connections with people who are active and want to build the Tezos community together. So definitely it's my fun Tezos tip. Awesome.
You're right about that. You're right about that, Lauren. There are a lot of people who are active on Tezos who do not want to interact with you. They're probably not joining the events. So the ones that are joining the events, you have a lot higher probability of being able to interact with them and have them follow you and you follow them back. And if you have a question, having somebody to go to. So building community online is the same as building community in the real world. You just have to keep approaching people and saying hi. So, and networking is all about it.
Absolutely, and I feel like another one of the benefits of events is just like kind of a signal to like who are the community-minded people, who are the people who want to participate and want to grow the space. So if they're using the hashtag, they probably do. All right, so we're coming up right on the time. I want to thank Lily so much for joining us today. This was really eye-opening. It answered a lot of questions for me about the Tezos community events that I love so much, and hopefully a lot of people learned a lot from her as well. It was because a lot of people got to Tez in the last year, and this predates a lot of people's time in Tez. Lily, do you have any closing thoughts or last things you want to share with us?
Just if you have any questions or want to get involved, please join the Discord. My DMs are open. Tez Town DMs are open. But especially if you speak a language other than English as your native language, I highly encourage joining the Discord because we have native language speakers there for several languages anyway. And we're always interested to getting people to help with those language channels. If you speak 2 languages as well, love to have you get involved in that way as well. Awesome. And thank you, Lauren. Thank you, Lauren, for having me.
Oh, no, thank you so much for taking the time today. And so definitely join the Discord, follow Tez Town, do the Tez Town events. They are great. It's a great community and, stay in Tezos. Tezos is wonderful. So next week I might, I'm going on vacation, so I might do this from vacation. We'll see. Next week, the Tez Tunas are running a Valentine's Day event as well. And next week I was thinking of using this time to let people share the work that they had minted for that. That is up in the bubble kind of at the beginning. If you scroll back, if you want to get involved, feel free to message me or whatever. I might bail because I might do vacation. And if I do bail, I'll see you in 2 weeks. But I hope everyone has a lovely week. Definitely get involved in these events. Go think about who your collaboration partner should be if you don't have one assigned to you. And have a lovely Tezos Tuesday.